DOTE.
Welcome to the video tutorial on how to set up DOTE 2.0 using the DOTE settings, which is basic options that you have for setting up how the application will work and how different panels will work. There's two ways to access it. One is from DOTE settings up here with the cog icon, and the other is from the file menu settings here. We're just going to access it from here, and you'll get a large dialog window open which has a scroll bar. There are a lot of different settings, as you see as we go down. And so we'll just go up to the top, and what we're going to do first is, before we go through all of these, just say which things you might want to immediately set before you start using DOTE to transcribe. And the first one is you might want to set the editor font size. So that's here set as 16. Notice it says overridden in transcript options, which means for this transcript over here on this button, options, if I open that, you'll see it's actually set as 17, so it's overriding the default across the whole use of the application. So you can set a default and then you can tailor it for each specific transcript. Set as 16, all you have to do is change that number, and that gives you the size of the font according to your machine, your display, how much resolution it has, and so I like it roughly set around 16, 17, 18 according to a very large display. So once you've set that, then you can when you export, you can change it. When you go to the export to RTF for a publication, then you can change that font size later. Another thing you might want to do is you can see there's this grey line that's running down here. This grey line gives some sort of margin or border. Roughly it's set, I think in this, at 75. The default across all application is 70. It says it's overridden in transcript options. If I just close this, well, first you can see it's set on. If I do this, then you see it disappears. So it gives you a rough idea. It isn't actually in the document in the editor. It's just a notional line that says maybe when you get to here you might want to make a line break, a carriage return, and then start a new line, set it up, because that's what's going to fit in a standard A4 page or whatever system you use for constructing a page. Here you can see it's set at 70. If I close this and I open the transcript options, we'll see it's it is set as 70. It's still set as 70 in the page width. Though I could reset that here and it would reset it to 70. I can increase it here, and you see the line actually will be moving. And when I save the changes, then you see it's a lot further over. If I can set it as the reset to default, it's at the default setting. If I save that now and then open DOTE settings, you'll see it's no longer overridden in transcript options. It's the same. I think I had it at 75 before and had changed it to 70, though that was changed inside the transcript, and so it looked like it was overriding even though it was the same number. So that's one thing you might want to set, because that gives you a guideline where you're getting, maybe you need to break that many characters along, break and do a new line. Another thing you might want to do if you're using the Mondaden system is set up your alignment symbols, and we give a default set much like this. You can actually move these around just by dragging and dropping like that, or you can press the X button and then you can delete. So this is just a sort of nice set of possibilities. All you have to do is put it here, your character that you'd like, which obviously might not be on your keyboard. It might be something that you have to find in a character map. And then once you've got that here, which will have a Unicode number, you can add it to the list and then drag it around. Make your favorites at the very top, because they will be offered first at the very top when you start setting up your sub-tiers. But go to another video tutorial about how to use the Mondaden system and set up action sub-tiers. So that's something you might want to do if you're using that system. You might also, if you go down to the bottom here, you might want to set the short jump length and long jump length. It's currently set as 1 second and 4 seconds. And if you look up here on behind this dialog, then you see it's got play, but it's also got go back 1 frame. Then it's got a short and a long jump. It's easily, and that's backwards. It's equally got a short and long jump forwards. And those have shortcut keys. They will be listed here in the shortcuts, which we'll come to in a moment. Then you can jump around very quickly by pressing the button or hitting the shortcut key, and then rewind and replay, or just jump forwards. And if you prefer a different number, then you can put here, this is set as 1 second, you might prefer 2 or 3 for a short jump, or half a second, and a long jump you might prefer 10 seconds or 1 minute. So all you have to do here is put it in terms of the number of seconds. So those are the things you might wish to do initially to get started. We'll go back up to the very top, and now we're going to go through every single one, giving you an idea what they do. The first one is about an automatic backup. It's every 5 minutes. So you might prefer to have an automatic backup. You'll see over here it's got auto backups. You can click there and see all your auto backups, and you can restore your transcript to a previous state. It saves the transcript and other things. So take a look at the video tutorial or the help guide about auto backups. But you might want it to be done every minute, because you're making quite serious changes frequently, or you might every 10 minutes or 20 minutes. So you can change that number. Next we have the default transcription conventions, and you've only got a choice of Jefferson Mondaden at the moment, so you can choose that, because that will change the way that it looks for errors. Editor font size we've already done, and then the width of the name column is 8. That means if I close this, it's the distance from the beginning of the line until the body of the transcript, and that's independent because there is a tab after every colon here. That's the standard convention we use, is name colon tab. That allows us to be able to manipulate this tab space, and everything else will line up. If you put a space in here, it will flag an error. So that size is going to work nicely for very short names, but if we had much longer names for the participants, we might want to make it 10, 12, 14 and move this along. All you have to do is change that here. It's actually overridden in the transcript options. It's a little bit larger for this particular transcript, but you can change that. Then what we've done about the page width margin, we've got show transcript in Minimap. That's this Minimap here. That's a really nice feature. You don't normally find this in a word processor. It shows you the whole transcript and then condenses it down. That works for a fairly small, not more than a few hundred lines, but you might prefer to fill, which means it fills everything in the space that you have, and you might prefer fit, that will fit it in. Given it could be a very long 1,000-line transcript, then it will try to fit everything in. It will be very condensed. So it's up to you. You can play around with that and see which one works for you. Then we have, I skipped over there, the auto hide transcript. If I press that, then it will auto hide, so it disappears completely. But if I disappears completely, but it's only auto hidden, so if I go back, then it will appear whenever I mouse hover over that sort of area. If we go back again, there was another one there, show transcript minimap. If you just don't want to have it, so I'll bring it back, it's not auto hidden, I can just make it disappear and it will never appear, no matter if you hover over that area. I like to have it always there, not auto hide. And then go down here to the highlight other occurrences of the selected word or of selected letters. Those are both set to be on, and what that means is, for example, if I choose go here and I select go, which is a whole word, it will show me all other instances of those two characters together, and you can see it's appearing in several different places down here as parts of words. But if I select the letter G, just the letter G, for example here, every letter G is selected. Now you might not want that to happen, because every time you click in somewhere, a document, and select something, then it will start highlighting everywhere, and you might not want whole words to be selected, to be shown. So what you can do in DOTE settings is hide occurrences of a selected word or phrase. You can say I don't want those to be highlighted. It's very likely that you don't want selected letters, so if you turn that off, you see it disappeared there. If this is a choice you have. I like to have things selected because I might be looking for a smaller part within a phrase to see if that root is somewhere else in the document. Then there's disable auto suggestion context menu. That's a menu, for example, if I am at this place and then I say control or command enter, it gives a number of autocomplete suggestions. You might not wish that to come up. Sometimes it will come up automatically. You might not like any auto-completion. These allow you to, for example, if I need a pitch fall, it will give me the down arrow key character, which is quite hard. It's not on the keyboard. It will give me that. So you can decide that you want to have that turned off, or warnings about missing overlap endings. You can say, yeah, I don't want to have those. I want to ignore those. As we'll see, for example, let's say here. Then if I delete that, you see we've got maybe we just think, oh, we don't really need to have the ending because it's just a comment and we've got a time there of how long that takes place. But you see the little blue line here, that's because warnings is turned on. If I could make it hide it, so then warnings would never appear. But it might be you want to see warnings, you just don't want to see this one because you don't really ever bother completing the offset of an overlap. So I like to have the overlap for consistency exactly when it starts on whatever lines and when it ends on whatever lines for the speakers concerned. So you could say I don't want to have that, so I'm just going to put it back. It's just telling me there I'm restoring the changes that I had made. So I go to DOTE settings, ignore warning. If I turn that on, then you would no longer see that blue dotted line. Then the media preferences, you can say I want to restart media playback when I get to the end of the recording. I have that set on. So if I just go here and I'm at the very end of the timeline and then we come to the end of the recording, then do you want it to loop around and start at the beginning again? You can say I want it to stop there, or you can say no, I want it to loop around and start again. And that's what that option is for. Then require shift key. That's because if you're going to make a selection here, then if you press a shift and then drag, then you've made a selection, and that selection could be important for a ranged sync code or for a looping, because looping is set. You've got some choices here about looping, but it could be that you just want to be able to drag and not have to use the shift key. So you have an option to do that here. I'm just going to go back and deselect that. So DOTE settings. What else have we got? The default video format. Do you prefer 2D or 360 as to what's your standard video that you open? Most people it will be a 2D, so that's a convenient option there. Otherwise you could choose 360. Maybe you've only got audio files. This means that when you use the media manager, which is here, it will start to format these correctly. You can see here we've got an audio file, we've got some video files which are 2D and some 360 footage. So it will automatically set those up. It needs to know in order to know how to display them in the media player panels. So go back to settings. Then we've got the projection. If it's a 360, then what sort of projection? You have a number of choices that affect how it's displayed. You can play around with those, see which one you prefer. There is a difference between them. And then we've got an oversampling issue, which is an issue around certain displays, certain operating systems like Mac and Windows. And you have a number of choices here that will try to give better resolution in playback or in pause mode according to the displays you have on your processor on your computer. So you can play around with that as well. If we go down, we've already looked at the Mondaden systems that you can put your own and reorder them and delete and make up your own nice set if you're using the Mondaden conventions. Then we've got about FFmpeg, which is usually it's just installed automatically when you install DOTE, but if you press here you can see where it is currently stored. You can remove it, you can download it again to update it because it is updated quite frequently, there's some choices there, but it should be pretty default and installed for you automatically. And then you've got a new, which in 2.0 we can allow error reporting if something goes wrong with the application. It's currently set as enabled with automatic error reporting, but you could say I don't want anything ever sent. It will anonymize things. It doesn't send your transcript complete or your video, your media files. It just sends things about the application to try and figure out what the error is. And if we get a lot of those types of errors, we know we need to fix something quickly. You can say I need to initiate it or enable it automatically, so it will tell you at the top with a little pop-up will say an error has been found and been sent to the developers. Then we've got application shortcuts. There's a number of shortcuts that you can see here. These will be different if you're on Mac. They will involve Command and Option key as well. Here these are for Windows because I'm using a Windows machine. And if you want to change them, you just click on whichever one you want to change and then type the key combination you want, and then that will replace it with the one you want. So these are set up in a particular way. You may have your own preference for those. And then you can reset them to the default if you don't like and go back to how we had set them up. Then we've got some custom media things, and usually it's just to do with frame rate. A typical frame rate is 30 frames a second for media files, or 29.997. and it's very common. So you can, if you use a much slower frame rate or faster, like 60 frames a second, you can change this. That will affect some aspects of the timeline and the video playback. The short jump length, long jump length we've already covered, which allows you to set how much you can quickly jump forwards and backwards. And then the last is a few little miscellaneous things. One is when you're looking at in the project manager, you have a list of the recent transcripts that you've opened, and I have that set as 20, so it will show me the last 20 known transcripts that I have opened. You can clear that history for some, if you prefer not it to be seen, if you're giving a presentation, or you can just take it down to 5, or you can take it up to 50, so it will keep some record of your recent, so you can quickly jump to them rather than having to search for them. This is clicking outside of open dialogues. That's because on some systems with some devices, some pens, for example, I'm using a pen, then when you click outside, it will actually cancel the dialogue, which is very frustrating. So it will actually mean it won't do that when you move outside of the dialog box. But some people like that to be so when I can move outside, then it will actually cancel the current thing I'm working on. And the last one is showing animated reminders. That's when you're using video cues. It's very specific to video cues, because when you make changes to them, you might have forgotten to set the follow video cues here, so they will flash. But if you don't like those animated reminders, you can turn that off. Once you've made your changes, just close this, and then they should have happened. So I'm just going to close and go to the transcript options quickly to see if we can open a project directory here. You can also do that from the project info up here. And then we have the editor font size we've just covered already. You can change that for this transcript or reset it back to the default. The width of the name column, you can set your own or reset it back to the default for the application. And then there's the page margin, and ignore missing overlap end errors. You can say, yes, I want to do that for this transcript only, but not for others. And then conventions you can change for this transcript, because the default was set for the application. It might be you usually use Jeffersonian, but suddenly you want to do a Mondaden, so you can change it here. And then you've got some other things about transcript automation. I'll quickly say these because they're covered in the sub-tiers information about how to use the editor. But we have translation sub-tier, we have an English translation sub-tier. You can see down here p2.eng. So all you have to do is give the code here. Usually we use a 3-digit code. There's a standard set of codes that can be used. But if you want to say English in full, you can do that. You just have to type it here and say add, and then you'll have a possible list of translations. Maybe you want to translate into several languages. And then you can have gloss sub-tiers. If you're using a gloss, we recommend GLS or gloss, and then it will put .gls or .gloss, and you just have to add a colon, and then you've got your sub-tier to do with that. If you've got some interlinear glossing, where you've got some sort of grammatical categories that you want to use to break and mark up your transcript. And lastly, you've got the action sub-tiers, which are for the Mondaden system. Take a look at that video tutorial and the help guide to see how to do that. There should be a list here, if you do have, of your sub-tier names, and then the symbols associated with them and whether they autocomplete, etc. You've got a bunch of things there that you need to sort out. So for a Jeffersonian, you don't need to do that. And then you can cancel or save your changes, so we'll just cancel there. So that's running through quite a lot of different options. We've probably doubled the number of options you have available in version 2 over version 1. And you can play around with those and see the consequences. Some of them are very visible in the user interface. You may not like for example, this Minimap, which I like a lot. You may not like certain types of warnings and errors about certain things coming up. You can see here all of these overlaps are all lined up nicely. You might, if you drop some of these, you might say, I don't really need to have the end. Then you can make it that you won't be warned about that. So it's up to you, and have fun playing around with all of the different settings and options there.